bit of hostage rescue on some tactics there a little bit for you. How many of you have had any exposure to actual negotiations in a live context? Okay, all right, well, we'll kind of go over a little bit, just a little bit of background from my perspective with the county. So I was a negotiator for 4 years. Then they put me over the negotiations team combined with the tactical team. So I had several incidences where I tried to talk people out of their houses being barricaded or out of their vehicles being suicidal. Also some hostage incidents, and I'll go over a couple of those with you. We'll do some case review, kind of make it a little more interesting. I was also part of the tactical unit, and then years later I was the commander over the team. So I had both avenues. It was imperative that we work together, the tactical unit, from a court context. If you guys are involved in one of these situations, you're going to be the negotiator. You're going to be in the court. You're going to be the one talking until other law enforcement show up, and then technically they could let you keep you doing it since you build a rapport, and we'll talk about that as well. Most of the time, though, once that transition occurs, they may take that over, but it's crucial to get some information from that. So we'll go through a PowerPoint. I hate doing this, but we're going to do it, and then we'll have some pizza, and then we'll do a couple scenarios, and then we'll call it a night. So it's the margin for errors is not good. We can't make mistakes. If we make a mistake in one of these type of situations, somebody's going to get hurt or killed. There's a high political exposure. Everything you do is going to be criticized. The court system, the local jurisdiction, everywhere from all ends will come in there. And it's one of those situations where, yeah, kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You'll second guess yourself all the time on, did I say the right thing? Did I make them mad? Could I have done something different to make it not last as long? All those things are coming. And whatever the outcome, the criticisms coming from family, through the media, everywhere. So just be prepared for that. We'll go through a couple of examples. So the objectives of negotiating and hostage rescue is develop a tactical option. Even when we're sitting in the court with either the inmates, the bailiff responsibilities, we need to constantly think of our plan. What are we going to do to react? How are we going to react to something if this comes up? And I know most of you are probably doing that. I did that throughout most of my career, was whether it's emergency vehicle driving, screwed up real bad one time, or anything else, the what if kind of the game. Decision making, consistently thinking, what kind of decisions can I make to make this hostage taker give up the hostage, or what can I do to get him by himself where we may have a tactical edge, or we may be able to get him to give up. Gather intelligence is a big one. Obviously we need to get info to relay to our people and those that are responding to help us out. Ultimately we want the safe release of the hostages, and if it comes to the point as a negotiator, and I'll talk a little bit about this, at some point throughout this, if it goes hours and hours, depending on the situation, depending on the crime, what's happened, what the hostage taker is intending to do, we could be the one to kind of set things up for tactical operations, for a shot, or whatever, breach into the courtroom, a window. So we need to be kind of thinking about those, supporting those efforts as well. So when we talk about the hostage, I think everybody kind of, it's somebody kind of being taken against their will, person kept with the pledge pending fulfillment, held by another person's security for certain demands. Hostage is a victim held against or hers will by threat or actual force. So a lot of different avenues on why somebody could be held. And again, the life priorities, where do you come in? You come in after the hostages, right? You come in after the civilians in the courtroom, after the court clerks, after the judge, after anybody else. Then your life is third, and then the suspect is last, right? And we're going to go through this because most of this effort in negotiating, if you're in a courtroom close or you're in any environment close to the hostage taker, you're the target. You want to be the target at that point to take that attention away. We'll talk a little bit about that. So the critical elements, is establish as much dialogue as possible and attempt to de-escalate the situation. We'll talk about some of those as well. Main thing is being calm. You're going to be amped up, like any high tense environment. You're going to be amped up, but you got to control yourself. You got to maintain that calmness. If you can't, talk about maybe transitioning to another somebody to talk to, the other officer that may be in the courtroom or out here. But you've got to be able to maintain that calm. Anything that you do to amp up the situation is going to make it worse for the hostages. Be a listener, big thing, right? You got to listen. And I'll hammer on this, but it's just like supervision. We have to listen. We have to listen to our people. We have to listen to pick up cues on what we can do better, especially in this kind of environment, negotiating. You have to listen to them and engage with them. It'll also assist others that are coming in. You can relay what the individual looks like, or another officer can relay that, who we're dealing with, maybe pick up the name, get some research done, and what kind of type of weapons they may have. So again, harp on listening. We need to make them aware that we're listening as well. So how do we do that? What are some things you could use to ensure the hostage taker, the suspect, that we are listening to them?
Repeat what they say.
Yeah.
Give them they say something, it's okay, I understand that. And they keep talking, keep responding to them when they have a natural pause without interrupting.
Good, responding, go ahead.
Maybe try to figure out what they want. Listen to what they want.
Okay, good, just listening.
Good body language, active listening, keeping good eye contact.
Okay, elaborate on that a little more too.
I would say when people are paying attention to you, they're moving a lot too. Like as I'm talking to you right now, I'm kind of keeping myself locked right here. I'm keeping good eye contact, but I'm kind of moving as I'm talking.
Good. So if I'm having a discussion with you, does it show you that I'm listening if I'm looking all around while I'm talking? So a tendency we have, if we're in a high tense situation, we're kind of going to be looking around for exits just in case it hits the fan, right? Where am I going to go? Any of those type of things. But we need to be actively engaged, listening if we're that close. Most of the time, in a courtroom environment, you're going to be right there. So it's imperative that you focus, you pay attention, you listen to those things. Paraphrasing exactly, just restating what the individual has said so they know, oh man, they're listening to me, they're hearing me, and that starts to ease it up a little bit. Don't interrupt them, try not to cut them off. What do we want them to do? What do we want a suspect or a hostage taker to do while we're trying to talk to them? You want to engage, you want them to talk. You want them to talk as much as you can. So that is the big key, is listening and engaging, paraphrasing, and keeping that rapport going. Empathy, again, man, you won't know what's going on in their head or what they've just been through that led them to that situation. I've got a couple case reviews here that'll kind of go through that, but we don't know. Maybe they just found out they lost their job and they got cancer too, and I don't know, things could be rough, but try to understand how they feel. Hey dude, I just had a crappy day. Me too, I had a crappy day. Should you say that? Probably not, because you don't know what kind of crap they just went through during the day. So elicit that from them. Good, Ashley, right?
Mm-hmm.
No? Yeah, okay, sorry. I'm getting names. But just make sure that you can elicit, try and figure it out. Sympathize with them, engage with them, but try not to use those type of terms that could elevate it. You have no idea what I'm going through. Don't tell me you know what I'm going through. You have no idea. So kind of keep those in perspective as well. Big thing was rapport, gaining their trust. Just like anything you do. You guys have been around lot. How do you get people to get your trust? How do you get them to gain your trust?
Talk to them,
Talk to them,
get to know them.
get to know them,
Be polite.
be polite.
Treat them like human.
Treat them with dignity, right? Treat them with some dignity. I don't care what they've done, you've got to treat them with dignity. That'll build rapport, that'll gain their trust. I worked sex crimes for around 4.5 years. It was hard sometimes. It was hard sometimes to build rapport and gain their trust after, you interview a child. And then you find out what they've done, then you go grab them and interview them. But if you do that, you treat them with dignity, you treat them like a human, more often than time you're gonna get them on your side and gonna influence them. Which is the next one. Influence, work on the problem to provide the solutions. If you gain their trust, they're gonna be more willing to listen to you and to basically turn their behavior and help you or follow your instructions. And that's the ultimate key, is getting in negotiations, is getting their trust and influencing them to change their behavior, whatever that behavior is. So the suspect will act following after you've built that trust, or they'll follow through. Hey, you're doing a great job. I know it's been a few hours, and I know that gal sitting next to you, she's hungry, she's afraid for her life. She needs to be with her family, she needs to be with her mom. Hoping you can understand me, we've talked for a while, would you please let her go? Can we work that out? So just those type of things that can happen once you've got that influence. Open-ended questions, get them to talk. Open-ended questions can be anything. Well, tell me more about it. Tell me why are you feeling like that? What caused this today? Things like that. Tell me what happened after. Any of those open-ended questions. Keep communicating open-ended questions and keep them talking. So the more you do that, the better rapport you're gonna have. Be genuine. I mean, I've been to several scenes where I've listened to people talk. Sometimes negotiations may not be on scene that have been through some training. And again, this is a very brief overview, but I've seen people get upset with barricaded suspects and start getting after them a little bit. You know what, then just hell you do what you're gonna do. It's probably not good terminology to use in these type of situations. Be genuine with them, identify the emotions. If you can see them, you're gonna visibly see some of those emotions that these suspects have, whether they're suicidal, whether they're a criminal offender that's got somebody with them. You're gonna be able to see some of these emotions play out and feed into that. If you hear fear on the phone or you see fear in them, you start to see a lot of that sweating, watching those body movements. Use those to your advantage too. Fear, hey, we're here to help you. We're not storming in. We're here to help you. We want to resolve this. We want to get you help. Those sort of things for fear. Sadness, again, you got to be careful with mental disabilities and sadness. If you observe sadness or hear statements related to that, be careful how you offer help. I know what you've been through. Let's resolve this. I know some great counselors down the road. Well, they've already been there, and they hate those people. So that could escalate you back up. So be careful with that, but say, hey, I'm willing to do whatever I can do to help you. I'm willing to, have you thought about, what are some options you've thought about that you haven't tried? What can we do to work together on this? So some of those things. Anger, try to refocus. This is a tough one. Try to refocus them to off topic to get them away from what's triggering that emotion. And use that during your speaking with suspects to veer away from that, and don't bring that back up. Whatever triggered that emotion, don't bring it back up. Shame, a lot of them will be ashamed of what has happened or the situation they're in. Acknowledge it. Just acknowledge that hey, it is what it is. We're here, but the important thing is how we get past here. We talked a little about if I'm communicating with Matt here and I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, this isn't quite maybe some cover. You know, I'm not focused on him, am I? I'm focused on saving my own can instead of what's going on here, that attentive. So pay attention to yourself, your thoughts. You know, it's okay to pause when you're talking to suspects. It's okay to pause and think before you talk. Sometimes we don't think. I don't think a lot before I talk sometimes, but in these situations, it's imperative to do so. Watch your body language. If you're getting tensed up, they can read that too. And they're gonna see that, and that may amp them up. Be non-judgmental, again, we've kind of went through that. Don't judge them for what got them there. I mean, they're in a rough place, one way or somehow or another. So try not to be judgmental. Your tone of voice, if you get amped up with them and start making commands, if you're not to that point, it could go south on you. But there are times where you have to. Okay, dude, here's where it is. We're coming in to get you. If all the hostages are gone, we're coming in to get you. You need to come out voluntarily. Is A, we need to resolve this. B, it's gonna look worse on you if we have to come in. It's best interest. So if you have to elevate in those kind of situations to get some emotion or reaction, then that's okay in those situations too. Avoid no or never. No, we're not gonna do that. We will not do that. What that does is it shuts them down, doesn't communicate. We don't continue the communication. Attachment. You've all probably seen documentaries or Stockholm Syndrome where hostages, even negotiators sometimes can be triggered and influenced by the suspect. That happens, especially if you're talking to the same person for 4 or 5 hours. It can happen, so be mindful of that and allow your other officer in the courtroom or whoever it may be to kind of trigger you a little bit. If we notice those things, we need to be, and give them something. Especially if you're trying to negotiate from the hallway where you're not visible, you can have somebody else help you out with those. So avoid that attachment. I've seen it happen a few times where the negotiators say, dude, I'm going to be right with you the whole time. I'm going to come up to the door. I'll walk you out. Fair enough if you've got the experience, if you got that, right? You're prepared for it. But I've seen negotiators get upset when the other people will come in and grab the suspect, throw him to the ground, cuff him up. Well, dude, I told you you wouldn't hurt him. Okay, man, you're way over, you got way too attached. So those things you just kind of have to watch in yourself as well. So how long do we go? How long do we negotiate?
Until the situation's resolved?
Till it's resolved. It could be a long time, right? It could be hours and hours. It could be days. It could be minutes, depending on the situation. If there's terminology or the suspect takes action where we have to take action, then it's going to be over real soon. I'll hit on a couple of those. Again, you may be called on to support that tactical element if necessary. Just be aware of that if you're in the courthouse or somewhere and you've been talking to somebody and PD shows up and all their people show up and they say, okay, here's the deal, we've got other information that this individual has just committed a homicide 2 blocks down, we're going to take him out the next shot we can. Okay, now you need to work with them and say, hey dude, could you get him to walk closer to a window? Yeah. There's other options that tactically you can help them out with if it comes. Those could be happening if communications fail to bring the release of the hostages or that window of opportunity presents itself. If that window of opportunity presents itself in your scenarios, kind of think about that as well. Your main focus always has to be on that hostage. It has to be. That's your main goal, is to separate that individual from whatever's going on. So that has to be your focus. Okay, so I want to go through a couple with you. If you guys have questions or input or anything else, just let me know. But so back in 2010, we had a standoff with a male. Got a domestic violence issue with his wife. Pushed her around quite a bit. She was taking custody of the child, and he said, "Nah, you're not taking my kid." So again, this is December 23rd. right before Christmas. It's cold in Eagle Mountain. It's cold. He goes outside with the child. He's got a ballistic vest on. He's got his weapon, his sidearm on, and he's got the kid. And he's holding that kid. She calls the police. She gets out of the area. Initial people show up, start a perimeter. Same thing, I want you guys to kind of think through these situations. If something happened, say in this courtroom, and you, bailiff, whoever's in here, the guy out the door, what's the guy out there gonna be doing? What should he be doing?
Then we'll better be on the radio.
Get more help
Providing
coming,
Information, keeping people out.
keep people out, securing the door, getting people out that can be, that aren't tied to it, evacuating, okay? So residents, as we're evacuating, people show up, I show up with a negotiator, and we start to communicate with this guy. So December 23rd, 2010, 9:30 in the morning, call comes in, and he's sitting on a porch with this 1-year-old child. What's my priority? What's your priority?
Good job.
Kid safety.
That child. It's cold, kid's cold, so what kind of things do you use when you're talking to this individual?
Physical.
Child's well-being.
Yeah.
Man, dude, it's freezing out here. He goes, I'm fine, I got a coat on. I said, I understand that, dude, but your child it's cold, and it's freezing, and I know you love your child, dude, otherwise we would be here right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, you're not taking my kid. I said, well, we need to resolve this. How can we keep the child warm? How can we keep the child from getting cold? And I focused his attention on his kid, which was big, because I knew that was why we were there, because the whole custody thing. You want his kid. What parent doesn't want their child, right? If you don't want your kid, something might be wrong with you, especially that young. So we focused on that. Negotiations went for probably an hour and 45 minutes before he let us come up and get the kid. This whole time I'm communicating with tactical folks, if they're outside or whatever. Hey, we built trust with him, and they're like, hell no, you're not walking up there to get that kid. We got tactical teams. I understand. We built this up. But good thing I had going for me is I was with part of that team prior, so we knew each other very well. So they allowed me as a tactical / negotiator and my female negotiator that was with me to walk up. We grabbed the child, slowly backed away. He sat there calm. We didn't take any aggressive actions towards the guy. We got our #1 priority out. All right, we got the child out. So the child was safe, warm. Negotiation continued. How are we going to resolve this? What are we going to do? How are we going to resolve this? He wanted a cigarette. Before he went to jail, he wanted a cigarette. Still had that ballistic vest on, still had his firearm on, so we sent the robot. So just be thinking, there are resources around every court we have in the county that can be there, within 20 minutes, half hour, the resources to utilize that way. So we sent a little robot up with some cigarettes, finally convinced him to put his weapon in the trunk of his car that was outside, and he surrendered to the tactical teams as he come around. So that situation, pretty apparent what our focus should be, where to direct the guy. He had a military background, and he could have done some damage had he been triggered, I think, but it was just that calming and building that rapport with him. And you know how the media is, so that's me, and when I had dark hair with that child. Pretty cool to walk away with the child knowing, all right, we've got the focus done. Now we need to focus on resolving this safely. So there's one example. Anybody recognize this name? Matthew Graham. So this is Eagle Mountain again. I've spent a lot of time in Eagle Mountain, I don't know, over the years. So this guy, same kind of thing. I want to bring up a couple interesting facts about this case and throw it out to what you would do. You have a wife that's been physically abused over and over and over. She's had enough. She's packed some bags. He catches her with some bags, starts beating her, her 3 kids jump in, petrified. The oldest child actually gets in front of his mom trying to help. He gets pushed away. Basically, she's able to text a friend saying, please take care of my kids when I'm gone. And this friend has had previous conversations knowing that the situation's bad. So she, the neighbor, the friend, calls and deputies respond. So put yourself in this situation. You go up, you know a domestic's gone on, you don't have much other information, there's been past abuse, and you knock on the door, and suspect cracks the door open and just stares at you. Negotiation, right? What do you say? What do you say? You're in a courtroom, somebody goes off, and you try to communicate, all they do is stare at you. Thoughts?
Trying to take a stab in the dark here, elicit them to communicate to you, not saying, hey, talk to me, you know,
What's going on?
something as simple as what's going on. Everything, but, you know, are you okay? Just kind of show interest in them. 'Cause everybody likes talking about themselves at some point or another, but I don't know.
Oh, good. What other thoughts?
Like they have no idea, like it's just one car that came up, just one cop there right now? Or is it like, did a whole bunch of people show up?
No, just, there's 2 people there.
2 people there?
Yep.
Maybe you can play dumb and say, hey, there was a noise complaint and we were just called, just wondering, is everything okay? Like, is everything all right?
Good, okay, good, yeah. So finally, these 2 deputies used what you guys have said. Hey, we got a couple complaints, we're here just to make sure everything's okay. Now screw you, everything's fine. Now what?
Doesn't seem like it.
Anybody else in the house?
Yeah, good. Anybody else here, is everything okay? One thing the one did, which was good, is he stuck his foot so he couldn't close it on him. This whole time, while they're at the door, they get a bad feeling real quick and want a mask. Do you have a weapon on you? Do you have anything on you? That's for me to know and you to find out. So now they're even more, right, how do we communicate? How do we negotiate with this guy? Immediately they kind of draw their firearms and just put it down on their side. They don't know what they've got, but they're going to be ready, just in case. So eventually they started just, again, dude, we just can't leave because we've got reports that there's been a crime committed here, children hurt. No, would never hurt my kids. Are you sure you wouldn't? Because that's what we've heard. Never. I would never hurt my kids. Well, can we see them? Can we just make sure? Can we just make sure they're okay? Yeah, you can see them. Yells at him to come down. Wife comes down and he glares. And she gets close enough, he goes, that's far enough for you. So we're like, the deputies are like, oh crap. Anyway, they, at the door, they build a little bit of rapport. They finally convince him, to let them all out. Let the kids out, let the wife out. She recalls saying to us after that was the scariest moment in her life. Walking past him to come outside when he's holding that .45 or whatever he had, right there behind the door as he's talking to deputies and letting his kids and the wife leave. But she feared for her life. She was a little busted up. As soon as they go out, boom, door closes and he barricades. So now what? Now negotiations get involved and we start calling him. Conversations last a couple minutes and boom, hangs up. Now what do you do? If you're trying to talk to a suspect in the courtroom and they shut down on you, any thoughts what you do? He stopped talking to you, you're trying. Don't know what's going on, right? Could be trying to make a decision on how he's gonna end it, so end it. Is he gonna take action against you? Is he gonna take action against a hostage? Those things need to kind of play through your mind. We talked to this guy for quite some time. I think we were 4.5 hours, just over 4.5 hours negotiating on the phone with him, off and on. Finally, and this could be help that you guys, for, you know, you have your judges, if they're in the courtroom or you got somebody close, he demanded a letter from the judge saying he wasn't gonna be criminally charged. You give me that letter from the judge, signed by the judge, I'll come out. Okay, we'll work on that. We're gonna work on that right now. We called our prosecutors and, hey, it's a ruse, but this is the only way we can get this guy out. Is it legal? Are we gonna get bound up for this? And they said, no, we'll write it up and send it to you. So they wrote up a nice little letter, and he wrote it up and gave him a letter, and he came out, he got charged. And he was real mad. Kind of out there, the neighbor, or the field in the back. Interesting part about this guy, and what we don't understand, what happened prior to the day, or who we're dealing with, is he barricaded, he tipped up tables. He had a shotgun laying by the back door with rounds on the counter. He barricaded that to where his retreat point could be to the basement, where he had a gas mask, he had a rifle, he had a bunch more ammo. This guy was ready. He had a ghillie suit down there as well. I mean, this guy was wanting to go, and we were starting to talk about, how do we get this guy out if he doesn't? We started talking, well, do we flood the basement? Do we, you know, what? Smoke him out? What kind of things do we do? So you just never know. I mean, this guy suffered from some PTSD pretty severely, and things kept triggering, and his wife triggered him a lot, and that's what kind of led up to that. Luckily, that worked out okay. That one too. So you just never know what's going on with them. So principles of a rescue. If we've got to rescue somebody, get somebody away, it has to be, that decision has to be made, and it has to happen quick. You know, yard, speed, violence, surprise of action. We've got to do those. Place the hostage taker in immediate fear for his life. So what happens when you're in fear? If somebody comes charging at you, what's your focus?
Your mental process stumbles a lot.
Yeah, you kind of get twisted up, and it becomes that fight or flight as well. Well, I've got to fight this guy, or I've got to take off. So it takes that attention away from the hostage, takes away from you, because you've made that decision. Your mind's made up, and it kind of puts them, it gives you a fraction of a few seconds to take care of that. And remember, again, you're the target, not the hostage. Different types of, and I'm going to skim through a lot of this stuff because it goes into stuff we're not too worried about here. So you have different types of hostage takers. You have political one, terrorists, they're committed to a cause, they're in for the long haul, they've planned it all out. We rarely going to have to deal with any of these things. The criminal hostage taker is the one we're going to get. We're going to get caught in the commission of a crime, they're in our courtrooms, they're feared for what judge may hand down to them, they've got a vendetta against somebody in the court, feelings of hopelessness, and they want hostages to kind of help slow that down or figure out what they're going to do. So most of it's just impulse, and we kind of go from there. A lot of mentally disturbed persons, maybe irrational or suicidal, so we have to kind of worry about those things. Historically, immediate and forceful action has proven most effective for prisoners. Or, you know, if you got an inmate in here that starts, immediate forceful action tends to work for them if it's in that type of environment. Most incidents obviously are going to be the local authorities, so it's going to start with you guys, and then the local jurisdiction is going to come in, and it's most likely going to end that way. Most instances are not terrorism; they're domestic, and we're going to deal with it on a local level unless it's huge for additional resources. And okay, again, criminals are mentally disturbed. Vast majority are resolved with negotiations. And now that always makes the tactical guys mad that they can't do their stuff, but most often, the vast majority are all gonna be resolved through negotiations or suicide. Responsibilities, again, we talked a little bit about this, getting the courtroom secured if you can, getting people out, making sure people don't come in while we're dealing with these type of things. The actions, not to where you guys know what will happen. A lot of things could happen. Okay, danger signs. Danger to the hostage should be considered extreme if whoever is very cruel to the hostage, if they're very abusive, if they're they're violent with them, there's no human interaction between them, it's another kind of sign. If they're just intolerant of them and they're just there to serve a purpose, you watch for that. Physical separation, blindfolded, these things are big red flags. Countdowns, time limit given. Those could be, most of the time when we're talking, you hear a countdown, it's time to take immediate action. You just don't know, unless you've got other cues that are like, all right, the guy's just bluffing to get something. Another case in point, we had another domestic, guy was intoxicated, little, not too bad, gets in a fight, his 17-year-old niece comes over to get, his wife's 17-year-old niece comes over to get the children and her away from the situation. They get her and the kids out, she forgets her purse in there, the wife, so the niece goes in to get the purse, she's taken hostage by a knife point, big butcher type knife. She calls, the wife calls, niece doesn't come back out, everybody shows up, negotiations on with him, he finally just discontinues communication whatsoever. Warning signs. Make limited penetration into the residence, some tactical folks there, see him, he's got one of those stairways that goes up, a little platform, and it goes up again. He's up here where they can't see him, they angle over, because now he starts to say, yeah, she's dead, 30 seconds, she's dead, and he starts counting down. So what do you do in a courtroom, what do you do in a transport situation? Now you've got somebody that's not communicating with you, but says she's dead in 30 seconds, 30, and he's counting, 29, 28, 27. What do you do now? What's your number one priority?
Eliminate the threat.
Yeah, you're the hostage, right?
Take care of
That
it.
hostage. One of our guys backed up the stairs where he could see, saw the knife to her throat, counted, took shot, and ended that. So, if that point comes where you have to make a decision to utilize force, make sure it's justified, use of force policies. But don't be afraid to take action if you have to. That being said, I think intervention comes down, don't worry about this. If it comes down to an intervention, know where you're at, all right? What's the basic firearm rules? Okay, till you're ready to shoot.
Know your target.
Know your target, what's behind it, right? You're in a courtroom, what's behind your suspect? People, potentially, offices, where could that go if you miss?
Thin walls.
Okay, walls, thin walls. So we talk about getting them to where you want them to be, kind of moving them around. If it gets to that point, if you can't, you have to be confident and comfortable with your shooting skills, don't you? If you're gonna take a shot like that, you better be confident of what you're doing. We talked about hindsight. Bad things can happen if you make the wrong decision, you make the right decision, but if you hurt somebody other than the intended target, it could be miserable. So I'm gonna go over this briefly. You got pizza coming, were you okay?
Yeah, it'll be about 7:30.
Okay, all right. So courtroom environment, you got a lot of little places. right? So if one of you are in the courtroom by yourself negotiating, and a couple others of you show up, or you're here with prisoners, you got them locked up, you got a guard from here, what do? If you can kind of help in this, resolve this situation, we talked about limited penetration, getting into an area where you can hear, where you can make a plan, where you can act. Let me just kind of go through, I'm not gonna go through all these, but you come through this door, you can listen, get it cracked, that door, just know your facility and know what's there. You'll get real-time intelligence, you'll be able to react a lot quicker if something happens to help your fellow officer in there. Limits area controlled by suspect, keeps them pinned in here, it's huge. Disadvantages, that's all for the other people that are gonna come. You're the initial people that's gonna have to deal with this there. Once you've intervened, you need to know what your immediate threat is. We talked about that. Again, make you the target. You're the target at that point. Once you've made that decision, know what distance you have the right mindset that you're gonna go in and take care of it. You're gonna make that shot. If you're worried about those type of things during that course of an incident, you may not be right in that mindset. Okay, you remember your job is to protect the hostages, your job is to protect the clerks, citizens in here, the judge, whoever else, that's your job. Your shield, whatever it takes, but once you've made that decision, how you act is gonna make it or break it. Again, we can't have that mindset where we're going to give up. This is an illustration, so you have, it's hard to see, you have the pink guy there, and then the silhouette behind with the hostage. So immediate threat, if you come into a courtroom, if things go down, the court's in recess, but there's still some people hanging out, you hear some commotion, you're coming in that door right there, and you got a situation over here, where would you go? You'd go right over there?
I'm not the bailiff inside, right?
No.
Oh, yeah, I'm going over this way.
Okay. So say things went bad, bailiff inside gets grabbed, guns to him, and you come right through that door. You're going that way. Why would you go that way?
Give me a better line away from the clerks, away from the other people in the crowd if they're here.
Okay.
I have a line for a shot, not that I need to take it or not. I don't entirely know
Was behind the wall?
what's going on. I know there's offices back that way,
Okay.
bunch of filing cabinets and stuff, but
Okay. Anything else? Any others? Other ideas?
My route would be right along that wall to that corner right there.
Okay. Why would you do that?
Well, that way I can get him to focus on me there, and maybe another, others that are responding can come to the door, and now, if you essentially it's divided, it'd be way, and not just a little division here, it's gonna be wide division.
Okay. Good. Any other thoughts?
I'll go right at him.
You go right at him. Okay. Why would you go
Only
right at him?
because he's surprised. He can't believe you're coming right at him.
Okay, good. Depends on the environment, right? Depends on what's going on. If they're communicating, yeah, you might, all these would be good avenues. Coming out, line of sight, coming in, distracting him, focus there. If he's giving some countdown or it's getting elevated, yeah, you might be coming just directly, take the focus off him, and it's coming right at you now, and give yourself a chance there. Kind of simulates here in this house, number one guy, he perceives that threat, immediate threats there, and he just goes right for him if there's that immediate threat. If there's not immediate threat, you have other options. And that's why I brought that up is, okay, we need to be thinking. We need to be thinking about what all of our options are in a courtroom setting. So good. Okay. Go through those. Again, when you have to intervene, just make sure it's one of those situations where somebody may be killed or somebody may suffer serious bodily injury, or when an opportunity exists and he puts himself in a vulnerable position. If he's away from his weapon or hostage passes out and now he's reacting to that, that could be your opportunity. So be cognizant of those things. So successes, Obviously, the hostage is taken care of, they're removed from the situation, the hostage taker is neutralized or taken into custody, whatever the case is, he gives up. Those are big, immediate separation. Okay, I talked about some good things. This messes up again, I apologize. I'm going to quickly go through this one. To show you my negotiation ratio. There for a while wasn't good. Bad deals. Most of them, they weren't hostage, they were just barricaded stuff. This is one quick example. Family, that's, and Danny, you were supposed to save me from that. That was the end, I want to start with the end. All right. This was a while ago too. So we got a call, this guy calls, family's called, worried about him, he's called and said goodbye, he's done. We finally get dispatched to call his phone, he answers, they can hear breathing. That's all they can hear. They thought they heard a shot, they could hear breathing, nothing else. He's not speaking anymore. So what this guy did is he shot out the window, shot a hole through his mirror, and then he just stopped talking. He just put the phone down, put the gun down, leaned back, and just breathed. So they don't know, now is he hurt? Do we need to come provide aid? What do we need to do? Dispatcher, we put a plane up to look for this guy. We had a plane up looking for him and spot his vehicle. We know where he's at. We're headed that way. Can't hear him breathing anymore. Now we're thinking, okay, his life's probably, it's in jeopardy. He needs immediate medical help or he's deceased. So we hush herd out there, get the armored vehicle out there. Suspect witness front seat, moves. When I'm trying to communicate with him, he moves. So we know now, okay, he's in there, he's alive, he's got a weapon. This is the initial site. We ram him, try to pin him in, he takes off, drives down the road, leaves the roadway, hits a large rock, vehicle's disabled. Again, communications is attempted, huh? Dude, I'm doing everything I can. I went to negotiation schools, I'm using everything. This guy's just not that. The dispatch still hears him on the phone, his phone's still on with them, and they can hear him say, where's my unknown, if he's saying what he's looking for. Thankfully, we were in an armored vehicle, so it wasn't too poor. He had some beer out, so that's where the armored van was, that's where the vehicle was. Suspect opens the door, he has a beer in one hand and a handgun in the other hand. Handgun's down, beer's up. Dude, okay, we need to calm down. Dude, we're here to help you. Let's put the gun down, put the gun down. Raises his hand, raises the gun up, points it at our people. That was that.
Was that the one with Zach?
Yeah, that was out there. Again, this, if anything happens, I want to kind of prep you for what's going to happen. If you're involved in a situation where it's an officer involved incident, where there's serious bodily injury or death, we're going to ask you, we're going to come down, PD's coming, county attorneys, protocol team's coming, make sure you keep your weapon where it is and keep it safeguarded because they're going to want to take that for inspection, make sure everything was proper, everything else. So immediately we deal with those situations. That was where one of the shots, a couple of shots were taken out of that hole by one of our sniper guys. Lessons learned. We need to kind of, when we talk about information gathering, what's going on in these people, these subjects, history. You guys do a pretty good job, I think, of understanding what happens in courtrooms and who's coming in because you've seen them before, what inmates we're transporting. You guys have a decent background, so you can kind of get a history of what they've been through, what they're going to do. This was an interesting one. Family just lost a loved one, and we've all been through this before. Now here comes the, oh great, you shot. Officers just shot another guy. Media comes out, and family wrote a letter and basically was saying, yeah, we're heartbroken, we're heart-stricken, but he had suffered a long time, and we want to make sure your people are okay. So there's that good part of society too, that, you know, they understand what mentally goes on in your mind when we're having to deal with these type of situations. So I want to just go through that. We have 2 scenarios planned. We'll ask for a couple volunteers, and we'll see how that goes. Any questions about anything we went over? Again, this is kind of a brief overview. Any questions or thoughts? Was it helpful? Can I hang out? Good. All right. Matt's gonna be, so let's pick somebody to deal with the situation.
He's gonna do the officer, he's gonna do the suspect.
Okay,
On the one outside.
okay. So we'll go out. You're gonna grab him. So let's, why don't you two come here real quick, and John? What's this?
You know the judges.
I'm just,
Yeah, you're just a bailiff in the courtroom, so you're done. Right now, it's just, you're on a break too, because, so I'm the prosecutor, I'm just kinda chatting with you, because the
Okay.
judge took back. Your other deputy, your
so
other
the
officer.
judge isn't here right now?
No, judge isn't here, it's just us. We got
Okay.
some people in court, and then your, other officer's the one out at the magnetometer. And it's just you two.
Okay,
You guys are guarding court.
okay. The other officer's out?
Huh?
Yeah,
So he's just bringing in people as they come in.
Okay.
make sure they don't bring it.
So, yeah, we're just gonna hang out, and then we'll see what happens, and go from there. Huh?
Alright.
I put you on the spot.
I know you did.
That's how you learn, right?
Yeah.
That's how we learn.
Trial by fire.
That's right. Wow, what's going on out there?
Nothing good.
No, there's some voices.
This is my job, man.
Whoa, hey, whoa.
Shut up.
Yeah, this ain't good.
I need to talk to somebody in charge over here. I have 5 kids.
You can talk to me.
Are you in charge?
Right now, yes.
What's your name?
Chris, what's
Okay,
yours?
back up.
Okay. Wait, you want
I'm
me
in
to back
charge.
up, or
I'm
you
in charge
back
here. You're in charge here?
up? No, you're in charge.
I'm in charge. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
you
right.
are.
That's right. I'm in charge here.
Yes,
I need to talk to somebody to get my charges dismissed.
to get your charges suspended?
Yes, I lost everything. I lost my family.
You lost your family?
Yes, I did.
I'm terribly sorry to hear that.
I hope you are.
I really am. You said you wanted to talk to someone that can get the charges dismissed, right?
Yes, judge, clerk, something.
Well, they just stepped out. They'll be back shortly. But, is there anything that I can do to help you?
You can get the guy here that I need to talk to.
Get the guy that you need to talk to? Like I
Yeah.
said, he's on his way, he's coming right back in. You'll
Okay?
see him in just a few minutes.
Okay?
But, I mean, do you wanna talk to me as to like what's going on?
I need to get my charges dismissed.
You are gonna get your charges dismissed.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah, just as soon as the guy comes out, and it's gonna take a few minutes, okay?
okay.
But, I mean, is this necessary?
Oh, absolutely.
Holding
This
it?
is how it gets it done.
Not necessarily. I
You don't
mean,
think so?
Not really.
Hey, I have 5 kids.
I
This guy
mean,
doesn't want to die.
do you wanna kill him?
Don't get my stuff taken care of.
But your stuff is gonna get taken care
Oh,
of.
okay, okay.
Alright,
Well,
just,
we'll talk when he gets here.
like, we'll talk, or will you
No,
talk?
we're good right here.
We're good right here?
You just get him out here.
Yeah, like I said, he's on his way. He took a little brief recess.
Okay.
Okay, but like I said, do you really need to be holding him at knife point to, like, we already got what you want coming,
Okay?
okay? Everything's fine, like, you can release him and you still get what you want.
You sure?
Yeah. He's coming right now, can't you hear his footsteps? But you do not need to hold him at knife point. You got what you want, he's coming, he's gonna be on his way.
Okay, you can send over here.
Yeah,
Okay? He stays with me.
that's perfectly fine. He can stay with you. Just you don't need to have him like choking him.
Still been a few minutes. What's going on here?
Hold on. Okay, so, he's coming,
Okay?
okay?
You're fine, okay, out of roll. Okay.
Because my next thing, right when you stepped over, I was just gonna shoot you. And I was like,
Matt, you just stick him next time, because I'll shoot you. I mean, no offense, really.
He's got 5 kids.
I know.
He doesn't want to die.
I was like, man, that's not cool, it's my job.
Depends on how much your life insurance is.
Okay, so constructive feedback from the group. What do we think? What are a couple of things he did well?
He kept him calm. He focused on him. He made
kept-
sure he was interacting, like he wasn't distracted.
Yeah, you kept
For
engaged
the
with
most
them
part.
in conversation.
Okay.
He kept on asking how can I help you? Like what can we do to resolve this?
Okay.
Which kept him focused on that versus the hostage.
Okay.
And he did say, I'm the one in charge, I'll take care of it, I'll make sure that this gets done. So, try to build confidence or a rapport with him.
Good, good. What I liked right at the beginning was you made a couple comments. Hey, what can I do to help? What can I do? What can we do to calm? What can I do to help? I thought those were good. Those were some good things. What about a couple things we could improve on?
Don't argue.
Don't argue. Yeah, don't argue. To
okay.
avoid argument. Do you really want to kill him? May not have been a good thing, but you know, you kind of started down that way. But little things. When you turn to look for the judge, man, you could have lost your opportunity. So remember to stay focused,
Keep
to stay
eye contact.
communicating. Silver, yes.
That's what I was gonna point out, just that, a couple of times you look for the judge. And also probably just say, the judge is not gonna come out until this is resolved. And he's watching on that camera, he's not gonna be here. I mean, don't say something that's not gonna happen.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely, that's good.
no.
And Chris, we threw him because he doesn't work in the court, so we threw him under the bus. And he's never been exposed to anything like this, so Chris, I thought you did pretty well for being thrown in the bus. But you good point. We're not gonna bring people into the situation.
Yeah.
We're not gonna bring, but just like Silver said, you know what, I can work on that. I can work on that. I work with the judge, I can work with the clerks, we'll work on getting that resolved. But in the meantime, you and I need to make sure we're communicating and talking, just focus on that. So, not good, just avoid turning away from engaging that. Go ahead, Bob.
What about, because he does have an audience, we're sitting here. Okay, look, this is between you and me. Can she leave? I don't want her to see this. May she leave? Can these guys leave? And let's make sure these people are safe. And then just isolate the incident between the hostage taker and the cop.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. That's what, I was kind of see what everybody else was gonna do when that came in.
I was waiting for him to get a little closer and then try jumping in.
Yeah. Because in all actuality, what are most citizens sitting in a court environment, what probably are they gonna do when something like that comes in?
They're gonna run.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna be bolting off to the side here on the ground. But no, very good points, very good points. You work to get people out. This is going on YouTube, yeah. But very good point, very good point. Work on getting people out. Hey, this is just between us, I'm here. You don't need anybody else but me. I'm the only one in the room right now that can help you, so let's get everybody else out. Let's get everybody else out. And start working that way, as long as you calm them down enough to do that. Okay? Anything else for that scenario?
Was it a good idea that right when he took the knife off his throat and kind of stepped to the side, to just shoot him? Or,
What's behind him?
that's true.
Yeah, it just depends on what, that's
Do
kind
you
of up to
have to
you,
kill
right?
him?
Yeah, you got your
So,
backdrop,
yes.
you've got some kind of distance of compliance, like he's getting away, away from
victim. Not necessarily that that's a good thing, bad thing, but it is creating a separation where you could take a shot, not necessarily have to though.
Okay.
And I may have considered, once they were separated, I may have considered asking him to set the knife down and see if he
Okay.
would comply with that.
Yep.
And then he's disarmed and you don't have to shoot him.
No, good points. Hey.
But if he hangs on the
slow
knife
down.
and you're close enough that you're gonna get stabbed, now the threat is against you, not him. And you can defend yourself.
Okay.
Yep, and what's the, so once he separates a little bit from the hostage, what's the immediate threat now? He kind of separated a little bit, he still could make that motion where you
Yeah.
could engage, but you have to be really careful when it comes to,
That, yeah.
could I do it now? Yeah, your window of opportunity is there, but what's the immediate threat now?
Yeah.
And those sort of things, but good point. The one last thing I'll bring up before pizza's here, right?
Yep.
So the one thing I did, the other thing I liked what you did is, what did he do from when he first saw it come into the room? He started to approach, right? He started to approach to get, okay, here I am, I'm coming, okay. But he didn't come clear up to get it, he kind of came within that distance, so good job on that.
And he stayed where, you know, he has some kind of cover back here he can move to if he attacks.
I also thought it was funny that he was saying back up and you were backing up and I was like, wait, do you want me to back up or are you just
Yeah.
announcing what you're doing?
Yeah. All right, let's take a break, grab some pizza for those who want to bite, and then we'll do another scenario.
Here you go.
Okay, Mr. Kieran, we have heard all of the evidence and we have decided on the judgment. And before we take you into custody, I want to know if there's anything else you want to say in your defense.
He's trying so hard.
There you go.
Oh, whoa,
Hang on.
whoa. It's not your fault.
Stop.
I just,
Hey, Matt, talk to me.
Uh,
Hang on. Doesn't have to be like that.
Judge, come this way. Judge, come
Let's
this
go
way.
back. Listen, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. It doesn't have to be that way. Look over here. Look at me. Doesn't have to be that way.
Okay.
Okay? We want everybody to be safe.
You come.
What's gonna happen? How do you see this? What would you like to happen? Matt?
I'm just so sorry.
No, don't say sorry. Talk, look at me. Look at me. I got contact with Matt, talk to me. Okay? Try to talk
Everyone's
to
gone
me.
outside.
In real life, we're just getting everybody out, is that right? I mean, hang on, stop. Look at me, stop. Let me do it, let us help you. There's no reason to go this way. What is it, 3 days and bail out, less than 3 days?
So much at stake.
What's at stake?
My career, my family.
Where do you work?
Arby's.
Arby's? All right, all right. What about your family? Got kids?
Yeah, they're so disappointed.
How old are they?
7, 8, 2 8s, and 12.
Okay, so they're still pretty young, right? You think they want to go without a father? I mean,
At this point,
let's not do that. You said what, no, what made talk?
it just doesn't feel good.
I
I'm
understand.
so tired. I never meant to mess up.
Well, we don't need to go this way then. Look at me. I'm right here. I'm the one to talk to you, why don't you, okay? You go, if we take this route, your kids grow up without a father. Is that what you want?
The judge just needs to lighten up on me.
He may.
It was my first
You
time.
know that you have a right to an appeal, right?
What's that?
That means that you can appeal the process, and it goes to a different court. A different judge hears it. It's always an option that you have. So if you don't like that judgment, you sit maybe a couple hours, get your attorney to file an appeal to the district court.
I just want it to be over. That sounds complicated.
No, it's easy.
Oh.
Here, let's set the weapon down now. Come on. Don't do that. Think about your kids. You don't want to go that way. I promise you. Have a seat and talk with me. Yeah. How long you been married to your wife?
Not long enough.
Not long enough? 12 years? 10 years?
10.
10? Pretty long time, man. You guys are still young. There's no reason not to, at some point, go back home. He's just watching. Can I get you to set down a weapon and talk with him? I'm gonna get if you can set that down, we might be able to get the attorney back in here, see if they'll start the appeal process immediately. Did you guys? Judge won't come in. What I got about it? Okay. I wanna help you right now. You wanna try and fill that case?
Am I gonna have to go to jail?
All right, out of road.
I wanted that to happen.
Awesome.
I want you to walk that way.
No, I was supposed to put it down once I started complying with you, but that in my mind, I thought, you know what? With Silver behind me, if I could just turn the gun away, I bet he would come and get me.
All right, thoughts? Things that went well?
Who's the guy at the front that was the weapon then? That's my first thought.
Yeah.
How did
How did that get in there?
It was Ashley.
I was on the phone.
Yeah, Ashley.
One of my thoughts was, Davis moved this way, and Silver was the other one with the weapon. I think I would have come this way to draw his attention away from Silver, so Silver could get closer faster. It took a while for Silver to be able to work his way over
The
here.
only thing is crossfire.
Well, you got cross, I was gonna say, I actually shifted that way, because I didn't know who was enrolled, if they're crowd or not.
Yeah.
I don't wanna put my line of sight on the people that just walk.
And I gotta say, I didn't realize that he was even behind me until I looked behind me. He did have my attention pretty good.
No, that's it. That's one thing I
Yeah,
was gonna know
he had
too.
my attention really good.
Is you made visual, with your hands too. Hey, look at me, look at me. So you kept him focused that way. That was good. What else? Silver, I thought, getting the judge. I mean, you took care of the judge, you took care of the inmate, and then you had.
Except the one with the holding hands.
Well, yeah, that was a little.
They were both scared.
You got a little afraid.
They became friends.
That's my mistake, I probably could have tossed over my card. I realized that he probably doesn't have one in that door, but.
What about communication-wise between the two?
A lot of nonverbal.
Yeah, a lot of nonverbal, but you cued in on some things, right? You cued in on, because what about your kids? You want them growing up without a dad? No. And you kind of kept utilizing that to your advantage. And then the appeal process. Kind of saw him go, oh, is that an option, So you started getting him out of that thought process, and he came back to it, which I thought was good that way, communication-wise. But no, I thought, as far as Silver over there and you, I was like, okay, how close is he gonna get to this guy before you were like.
I was hoping that he was going to, because I was just supposed to put it down and comply, but I don't know, I like that ending more
Yeah.
better.
So I was back here, I didn't see, when you were told him to put the gun down, is that what he was doing? Or you just took the opportunity, that window?
Yeah, I just took that opportunity, but I was just, when I was back here, I was waiting for the attention to move away from me, and also the weapon to be, at a certain position where the finger's off the trigger, and,
Yep.
and where I can get access,
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. Take that opportunity when
Yeah.
you can for
And
that.
so now when he was sitting down, now he's limited in his movement.
No, good. Good. Any other thoughts?
I didn't want to keep looking, like, initially people were getting out, and the judge walking around, I wanted to keep his attention up here.
I thought you did a great job with
And he-
making contact, keeping contact.
He did eventually notice Silver, I'm like, he's just here.
I really didn't know he was back
I'm
there.
like, just look back up here.
I didn't
But-
know he was back there. I kept thinking.
I
he
think
was
probably
back
the position where you're at right there would have been a better position, so that way I can maneuver quicker.
Yeah.
Because when you're by the podium here, it took me a little while because you know, when you look at you, he can see me.
Yeah.
And so probably if you move where you're at right now, you know, probably I can move a lot quicker, you know, behind over here.
And I won't lie, personal preference, the setup of this work.
Do you know one who's not? That's not?
Those are, you know, good points though, good things to think of is where your independent courts are set up and how you would react, assigning different ones, yeah, for sure. For sure.
The first thing you should ever always do is when you get to a court, you're not familiarized with it, walk inside, walk outside, check the window, check the escape doors, see what those doors lead to. I do that in every court until I got familiar with it. So that if something happens, it's gonna happen so fast. It's gonna make your head spin, you won't even have time to think. It's all gonna be motor skills. I remember the shootings I was in, I never thought of anything. I'm glad I didn't die. You know, in the shootings, but, if you don't mind, I'm gonna add a couple things.
Yeah, cut. We're done, so can you cut that?
Yep.